Moctezuma's Revenge?
Montezuma, yeah.
It's the Revenge of Moctezuma, bro. You go to New York or Paris, there's fucking dudes that got stuck in their time frame. Like, some of them look like John Travolta. They just look crazy. We always talk about positive things, and no one cares. We talk about Mexico and saying that it's booming. People are commenting all this shit. Beckham's kid came one day and bought a jacket, and he went viral. He's wearing a fucking jacket, and we're like, wow, that's crazy. We have more room to actually manufacture, design, and sample pieces for other people. And now we're not gonna put all our energy in the store. What's up?
¿Qué pasa? All right.
I don't even know where we're gonna start.
So, all right. So, let's start from the most logical point here. We're at the third episode, which I don't understand how, because we already shot 3. Oh, we broke the first one up into 2 episodes.
Right.
That's it. So, we're at the third episode here. It's taken us forever to sync up because our schedules are crazy, right?
Yeah.
I've been traveling and shit, but there's a lot to catch up on. A lot of fun stuff to catch up on.
Yes, sir.
I'll say this. I thought of you this morning, actually, because you're the fashionista. So it's like 45 degrees here. It's fucking insane in the morning. And like, you know, typically I dress for the weather. So the outer shell will be the look. Whatever happens underneath it, I don't care, bro. A torn up waffle shirt, like whatever I got to do to be warm. There's New York days when it's -5 degrees, you know, you're not thinking about style, you're thinking about warmth. But I started realizing it's like, yo, you feel pretty good when all the clothes, no matter what, you like. Like I got my vintage monster truck shirt on underneath. Like I feel good, bro. Like there's something to be said. I get it now. There's something to be said.
I'm not like fashion, like I'm not like a trendy, like I just like my own, I have my own style in my own world, but I would never wear anything that I'm not obsessed with. Like it's so important to me. It's like, for like some people, it's so important what they eat. Like everything, even though it looks like shit to most people, there's a story and a reason that you're wearing it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to share it, but it's just kind of like, it defines
But down to your
character.
socks? Like is your underwear special to you?
100%.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
It's not to you?
The underwear, it's utilitarian. So, you know.
Yeah, but you pick which one you want. Like
Depending on the
you're not gonna wear.
environment.
You're not gonna wear like the crazy like fucking spandex one, or
Listen,
like a thong, or like the Homer Simpson
Thong
ones.
is when you're down in Brazil and you're trying to fucking
and you're
rock
feeling
out.
sexy.
Yeah.
No, but like, dude, I think about underwear, and dude, my wife hates me because I buy socks every month, and I like crispy like t-shirts. I have the same 100 t-shirts, and then I throw them away, but I wear like fresh, brand new t-shirts.
That's what I'm saying.
Shown as I recycle them though. No, at the end of the year.
No,
I
we heard
probably
you say
change
throw
them.
out. So is it
No, well, I'd be like, yo, no.
Right.
Vintage Jonas. No. I mean, I care about everything. I'm really, like, even though it doesn't seem like I care. I really care about what you're actually wearing.
But I think
I don't mean it as a fashion. I just like shit. I like product. And
I think you have
pieces.
a stylistic nonchalantness to you, you know, but I think you also like good clothes.
And I feel like everybody should or does, but some of us take it to some obsessive level. Like sometimes it looks like I'm wearing the same shit, but people don't know that I have the same pant and the 32 and 34, 36, 38 all the way to 40. It depends how I feel I wear the pant. I know. And the like jackets, like I have like the same jacket in 40 size, not 40, but 6 jackets,
I get
6
it.
colors and 6 tones.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, why do you have all that? Because I different patterns of camo. Like, I'm not saying people should be like that. I'm just talking about how I am.
Yeah. So you're saying you have an XL version of a jacket and an XXL.
Yes.
You got a large
and a medium.
and a medium.
Like depends how I feel, or if you're gonna layer it. And I have like the washed, like the raw denim, the medium, and the super beat up version of it. And I use it as a reference if I ever want to make it for someone or whatever. but I like knowing that I have it. It's kind of it's like crypto to me.
Okay, fair,
You know what
fair.
I mean?
How important is it to you, and I would assume very, that whatever you're wearing is at the forefront of fashion? For instance, it's not cool to have anything tight right now, right? But to be
It
honest,
is now.
shit. All right, so be honest.
It went back. Like everybody
crazy.
looks like skinny pants again, and like, or at
You
least
told me the skinny pants are back.
or at least the tops are small and the bottoms are big, or the skinny pants. Like it's getting. By next year, we're going to be all wearing. Well, I'm not, but the kids are going to be wearing, like Hades in Maine, like Dior type shit, or like YSL.
Which is crazy, man, because I remember,
90s.
I remember like going to New York, moving to New York in like 07, 08, right? And you'd still see people walking around looking like they were from the 80s, Lower East Side punk,
But
right?
see, I love
and
that.
I agree with you, but that came back. So when I was there, they looked like relics of a time era. Then all of a sudden, like 10 years later, that's the coolest shit. Like people going to ad agencies are dressing like that.
But the
you
thing is,
know?
like, look, you go to New York or Paris or Mexico City. Oh, we said it. And there's fucking dudes that got stuck in their time frame. Like some of them look like John Travolta, or some of them look like fucking, like, you know, they just look crazy. And then, but they're so true. Like people probably see me, they're like, what the fuck is wrong with that guy? He looks like a I don't know, you know, because I wear like a classic American shit most of the time. But sometimes it happens that it becomes trendy and all the kids start looking for it and they kind of nod at you, but you're like, okay, I knew they should, like, we like it regardless. And then it goes away and people start getting a little Euro or other shit. But I'm never going to be wearing any non-American clothing because that's never going to happen, you know, like I like Americana. But yeah, sometimes it coincides with trends.
Do you think that you're of an era, or you're just Miggy style and you just dress like that? Like, are you rocking one era, or are you constantly introducing new cuts and stuff?
I'm open to liking shit, but I 100% know what I don't like.
What is it that
and
you
what
don't
I
like?
don't like is the Euro look.
What's that?
Like the European, like
It's like a cut, a certain type of cut.
It's like I don't. Respectfully, I don't like
Hey.
the Italian suits.
I
I
don't
like the
either.
American suits. Like
I don't either.
I like, you know, like I'm just saying, like I wear like American brands or the American military versions of things, for the most part, you know, or American influenced. That's why I live in America. Like that's what I like, but that doesn't mean that I'm right. It's just what I like, you know.
Yeah, no, and I understand what you're saying. I mean, having lived in Budapest for 2 years, which is basically the edge of Western civilization, if not the beginning of Eastern civilization, you know, when my clothes started wearing thin, I had to go out and buy new shit, you know. And it's funny because they just don't have access to, like, certain places in the world, believe it or not, in 2026, don't have access to American clothing, right? So I'm buying H&M, I'm buying Zara's, right? But it's the European Zara's.
European.
So, you know, but even down to the colors, dude, like the color palette you're wearing, like that's gonna look slightly different in Europe. And like, if you think about the designers over there, they're surrounded by a whole different aura, a whole different civilization. They're influenced by a whole different thing.
Different weather, different demographics,
weather.
different materials. And jumping into I'm glad you touched that. Like, for example, with the video, people complaining, we had like 700,000 views on the video that we're talking about Mexico and all that stuff. Bro, when I was a kid, we didn't have access to shit. We would have to get a cousin to go to the States and buy a pair of shoes. Or now there's all kinds of products, releases, marketing budgets of international brands going to Mexico. That's what I was talking about, that it's booming. And people acted like I'm the fucking controller of who comes and goes from, I'm not immigration. Like, I was just saying culturally, which is what I care about, it's exciting that kids have access to product, and they're happy because you see all the fucking lines. They're all lined up, happy, having their fucking product, and we finally have access, you know. There's resale, there's more. economical activity in street brands and clothing and art right now in Mexico than I would say even here in New York.
Well,
It
let's back up.
is.
Let's back up real quick.
And all the
'cause-
Americans are like, oh, but New York. Yeah, of course New York is the fucking center of the universe.
Yeah.
But
Debatably at this point, man.
But right now, dude, the energy, when you go to New York, everybody looks the fucking same.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's cool and all, but like, they've done it so long for the last 50 years that most New Yorkers are over it. The ones that are really fashionable are the tourists or the newcomers in New York. What I would say in Mexico City right now is like really feeling it. The locals are really absorbing it, and they're really making, and they're really excited about product and collaborations and parties and events, and they're appreciative of the budgets of all the campaigns that everybody, they're connecting with the market. That's what I was talking about.
Let's all right, it's good. Let's rewind and preface it, because you brought up a good point, which we meant to talk about. That from the last episode we did, like 2 years ago, whenever the fuck we shot this.
Is it been that long?
No.
We're
But
fucking
from the
slow.
last
We
episode,
should be doing one every.
we got to pop these out quicker. But from the last episode, we were talking about Eyes on Mexico. We were talking about Eyes on Mexico City, right? And we threw out a clip on Reconstruct social media, which I had no intention of getting, 750,000 views. We were just looking at the analytics, like tens of thousands of likes, tens of thousands of shares. Like, it's kind of crazy.
And a lot of haters.
So that's the key thing. Is it was interesting because there's a lot of good analytics, but the most pronounced analytics, which are the comments, were a lot of people who saw the content of the video, which is just me being like, yo, tell me about Mexico City, and you being like, let me tell you about Mexico City.
I'm proud of Mexico City. I'm from there, you know. So
I think it's worth
it excited me, but then people take it off of context. Like, I'm trying to like make a commercial of come to Mexico City and live here for free or something. Like, it was crazy. What's crazy is that we always talk about positive things, fashion trends, forecast, manufacturing, culture, and no one cares. We talk about Mexico and people living there and everything, or we touch and we're saying that it's booming, and people that have 3 followers and are private are commenting all this shit from both sides, and it's funny how it works.
Well, why do you think people feel so threatened by a video like that? Why do people feel the need? Because some of the comments were really crazy. My favorite one was when they were like, oh, this is what it looked like when Christopher Columbus was selling Mexico to the Spanish. I laughed so hard. It was so good. But for the most part, there's some mean shit being said, which is interesting because you are from there. I don't think they knew that. You're
they probably
from there.
see that I'm not, like, I probably look American to them, but like, I'm from there. I was there till I was like 28, you know? And all my friends and my family's there. So like, I'm happy that actually shit's popping finally. In the fashion world, I know there's huge problems about politics and stuff, but I don't have a word or care about the politics. Like, of course I know about it and I have my personal opinions, but I'm not gonna be here talking about it. Like, I'm talking about, I'm a store owner, I'm a clothing owner, I manufacture stuff, and it was really hard to manufacture stuff in Mexico. That's why I probably ended up moving here. That's what we were saying. So It just got took out of context, but hey, it's great because it kind of went a little viral.
No, and it's crazy because we realize that pretty much to break the internet, you have to either say something crazy or edit it in a crazy way out of context, and then people lose their shit, you know? But so you brought up a good point, and I recently was just watching like YouTube videos of people, like there's all these videos of like, yeah, I used to live in Austin, now I live in Mexico City, and like they'll give you a tour of like Condesa, right? I saw one recently though where the guy was like, hey, like let's really break it down though, bro. They're really honest about that. And the guy living there with his wife from Texas, they're like, this looks amazing. It's like the rest of the city does not look like this. And I guess that's the inherent problem. But is it a problem? Is it a problem if one? Is it harming the rest of the city that 1 or 2 neighborhoods are getting an influx of money? Like, is it taking away from something else in the city, or is it zero sum when people immigrate, particularly from the United States, to Mexico City, for the benefit of that city? You know, like, does it help it or does it actually hurt it?
Well,
because this is what the majority of the comments were about.
But look at LA or New York. If you live in Soho, you get out of your Soho apartment and you walk in Soho, you have the best life, right? But for you to get Soho and you're a New Yorker, if you're a working class, you're probably gonna have to take the subway and the train and all this shit to get to work at Soho.
Yeah.
So your experience, you wasted 3 hours of your day to get there and go back. That happens in Mexico in the worst conditions ever. There's holes in the street, people have to fuck. But that's part of a big city. It's not the tourism's fault. Like when you go to Soho, like you're like, oh, these people, you have to stay in a hotel. There's no way you could get, you know. Same in LA. You go to Beverly Hills, all the people that work in Beverly Hills or that go visit Beverly Hills, 90% of them don't live there, you know? Or same with anything. Like, I used to live in Condesa, and a lot of people that come to work, they have to get there too. Like, the people that are complaining, we're never gonna live in Condesa or Polanco or Roma. Like, and if they can't afford it, there's La del Valle, there's like fucking Narvarte, there's so many other spots. But the amount of money that is coming into this business owners and the cultural experience and the way that they're talking about Mexico, it's beautiful. And I think that American or that French person that goes to Mexico and wears and talks about it, it's going to transcend. A lot of my friends are finally starting going to Mexico City. But it's
American friends.
American and just international friends, you know? And they're opening business because there's a lot of business opportunity, and it feels like New York or LA used to feel like. But that doesn't mean you want to conquer it. That means that basically maybe it's not as hard to open a business in Mexico. You don't have to get all these regulations. You don't need 9 bathrooms, 6 parking lots, like all that shit. So people just want to live their life and be creative and have like a coffee with turntables without having to worry about all this insurance and all this politics and all this control, you know? So I feel like that's why people are going there. And it's not like they're going there, oh, I'm going to take away from this guy. Like they're normally catering to other tourists. But it happens all over the world. You go to fucking Berlin, you go to New York,
Yes.
you go to like, look at Tokyo. You know, other things that's fucking annoying is that like we can't use, me being Mexican, I can't use Mexican shit because it's appropriation of the indigenous, right?
You're indigenous though.
Well, my mom is, but you know, you want to take it and tell the story.
What do you mean you can't use
because
Mexican
you're proud
shit?
of it.
Like, what do you mean? Like, give me an example. You said you can't use Mexican shit. Like, what's an example of something?
Like, for example, there's designers like that have used a shoe and they called it Oaxaca.
Yeah.
Because the brand Adidas calls, for the last 30 years, whatever their fucking city they're working in, they called it like that. They're not appropriating anything. That's what they've been doing. And all of a sudden, everybody's so offended because they're thinking that they're gonna get their, you know, the working people that make huaraches are gonna like get cheated out of the rights of the design. But if anything, it's going to give it a world platform where people actually go to Mexico and they're like, oh shit, I want my original huaraches, like, you know. I mean, there is a way, and I could see how there could be an appropriation. So us as adults, we have to make sure that we don't do it. But in this particular case, I didn't think it was. Or like my friend Ricardo in Mexico hired a designer that used a mask that other artist was using that's been doing it for a long time, and everybody was like, oh, and he did a collaboration with Carhartt, and it became a huge problem. It became bigger than the actual collaboration from people complaining. And you know, it's like if people would get mad at Beyonce for you being a cowgirl, you know, like she's not from Texas, you know, like. It's America. Like you should be able to use your references as a creative to respectfully make a version of it. Like a lot of European brands are making Americana, and a lot of Japanese. Like look at all the Japanese; they're all inspired by European and American fashion, and they actually make it better now. You know?
Yeah.
But anyways, it's just my point of view. This might become another thing that they're going to complain, but that's how I feel. You know?
But I think that. we're so used to globalism here, and globalism is because the United States is I say this not in a bad way, it's cultureless compared to Mexico, compared to Italy, compared to Korea. Like
it's only 250 years compared to thousands
and
of
not
fucking
just
years.
that, there's no singular identity, right? Because you have Europeans, you got Indians, you got South America, you have this has never happened in the history of the world. Every tongue from every corner of the country is here trying to survive, and the key word is do business with each other, right? And I think that's the level for culture in the United States, is commerce. Whereas in a place like Mexico, culture goes hundreds and hundreds, if you're indigenous, thousands of years. And I think that's the key fight right now, is that we already live in a globalized society here. We can't understand why it's an issue that I want to go down to this place or over to this place in a different country and open up a shop. Like, that's just what happens here. That's just how our society is run at this point. It's how it stays afloat. It's how it thrives. And I think that Mexico City is in the situation where it's beginning to enter the globalized world, because both it is inviting it and the world also is inviting Mexico City into it. But it's having a bit of an inner dialogue, a tumultuous inner dialogue. And you said something in the last podcast, which I thought was so interesting. You were like, yo, this happened in Paris when they started blowing up, right? Like, there were people rioting in the streets, and they still do, right? They still have
look
riots.
at Tokyo. They have two prices now. They have prices for locals and for tourists. Look, it happens. But I also see the lines of people trying to buy Jordans, and a bunch of, and for it to tell the story properly, they need to bring the Americans, whoever the creatives are, to tell the story properly, so people get on the same page and start. There's 50 people complaining, but then there's thousands of kids wanting to buy this product from the culture.
Yeah.
I just wished it wasn't only just Jordans or Adidas. I wish people would start consuming local designers and all that stuff, which I think is the future. But it's starting somewhere, and it's creating a universe of fashion. Look how cool the kids are now.
Yeah.
They weren't that cool, to be honest with you. You used to go. I grew up there. Only people that had money had access to go and buy something to a different country. Now, all these fucking kids are swaggy as hell.
And do you think that fashion, maybe not alone, but as a large percentage, makes that switch from
I
uncool
think
to cool?
that literally it's a dialogue. Just like reading or communicating through this, the way you dress and you express yourself, it's a language of communication, like an international language. And now through what you're wearing and you're posting, people connect globally. And that's why I think it's important. And I think finally Mexico and Latin America is connecting physically, adapting, and speaking this global language that's with no words, but just, you could be like, oh, I like that guy because he's cool, he's wearing this, that. There's communications. Kind of when I used to go to New York or, come to LA, there was codes of, oh shit, he's wearing this, or this car has these rims, or the bike or whatever, there's codes, And again, that's what I'm always talking about. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about trends and forecast, and that's what I do. I'm not a politician.
But I guess, though, if what you're, I hear you, and I guess if we're talking about clothes, that's still the broader context. It's still a form of globalization. Even if it's just clothes, even if it's just sneakers, it's a form of exporting and importing culture. And I think that doesn't come without a watering down of the local culture. I've seen it. I've seen it in the town I'm from. I've seen it where places I've lived abroad. I've seen it in neighborhoods in New York. You can't have an exchange outside of you with something bigger without losing a little part of your identity. And I think, to me, that's the big fight an inner dialogue in a place like Mexico City. It's like, yeah, you want the Jordans, you want Levi's down there, you want conventions, you want a football. I mean, think about football's played in Brazil now. Like the Eagles were down in Brazil last year.
The
It's
NBA is in Mexico.
But the Eagles don't just go down there. The Budweiser goes with them, and all these brands go with them and might stay there, right? And maybe they love it, but it's an exchange. You're exchanging something that's just been part of your thing and your identity forever for something new. And this is I think the fight of globalism in the modern day. Everybody wants to be a part of the conversation, but it does require a bit of yourself to be sacrificed.
But look, we've been watching this culture thing over our TV, never had access to it. And all of a sudden, all this thing is coming, and all of a sudden, 5% of the people are complaining because they think it's stupid.
Right.
And maybe it is stupid. Sometimes I see some lines and I'm like, why are these fucking kids lining up for coffee? Like, do I want that for Mexico or not? But it's just what's happening. We have to live through it and evolve through it, Like, I think it's just what's happening.
Well, are you guys looking to expand in Mexico? Like, are you looking to bring this down there? What's the goal?
Mexico is calling me. Like right now, we got a big company called me to help them do some repurposing to offer as part of their marketing campaign. Or I'm working for a car company to do all their merch and to connect without disrespecting, being a Mexican product without disrespecting.
They hired you as both the creative director, but the liaison between the culture and the brand, basically.
Yeah. So basically, the responsibility is to bring like the look, but at the same time, implement a little bit of the Mexican culture without disrespecting it, which is, we got to be very careful not to piss people off,
Right.
And same with this other company. We're doing pop-ups because people are into recycling and manufacturing. Obviously, I'm not going to take my sorors there, so I'm going to oversee, make sure that, because sometimes we don't tell the story right, and people fantasize. It's like me with skateboarding. I didn't know everything was so bigger than me when I used to watch it in a magazine. And when I finally was young, had access to come here, I was like, dude, these guys are kind of nerdy. They're not that punk rock. They're kind of geeks. They're kind of like, introvert. But in my mind, I thought it was different.
Because
so
you're watching the video with them, set the rap music, they're doing
being
crazy
happy
lines.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So I'm happy that like my friend Chris, for example, from Union, did a thing with Ricardo in Mexico City, and he went and openly spoke what he's trying to do and what they're, so people don't get lost in translation. Like there's a bunch of really cool creatives from all over the world going to Mexico with food and design and that are kind of just connecting, and they're basically setting the right tone so everybody, so it's a blessing that they're coming and sharing that information. And dude, Mexico is doing really good. There's a lot of Mexicans traveling around the world, and they're going a lot to Tokyo. They're coming to the US. Like, it's an exchange. And no one's complaining. Like, everybody, on the creative world is happy that we're lucky to be able to run around the globe,
Yeah, I mean, you nailed something. It's usually a small percentage of very loud people that make the noise. Because again, the analytics we're seeing tens of thousands of people send this. Like, we're seeing tens of thousands of likes. We're seeing like 600 bad comments, which when you scroll through it, you're like, holy shit, people hate us.
That's the ones you look at, right? Like, you're like,
right, exactly.
And I want to be like, yo, but then I'm like, bro, this guy is just literally sitting in his couch, not doing anything.
Right.
And he's like getting on my fucking open like thing, like commenting shit that is like.
Did anybody DM you personally, your account? Did anybody, people like follow the trail?
No, but a lot of people were really positive and cool. Like, we even got contacted by like hotels that were like, yo, if you guys want a room, like,
wow.
I never told you this.
Yeah, I'm down. Shit, I might have to reschedule the birthday trip now.
No, but dude, they were like, yo, like, this is actually very positive,
Wow,
so
man.
It's good.
Wow.
I mean, look, us talking about it or not talking about it are not going to control. Like,
of course.
He's going to Mexico next week.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't invite him. He's going by himself. Like,
By yourself?
No, but
Okay.
basically, no, not by himself, but he.
On his own intuition, yeah, of course.
But it should be like going to Texas, like.
For sure.
Like, bro.
For sure.
Anyhow.
For sure.
Enough about that.
Well, all right. I mean, since we were talking about it earlier, there's a couple interesting things which you had told me before. Some creative director positions. I know you can't talk about them right now, but very interesting. We are at a certain point with the store and the brand, and I'm curious, do you have anything to drop about where things are headed? Because I know that there's a new warehouse. I think it would be a good time to mention kind of where things are headed. Not that things are necessarily changing with the brand in a big way, but there's some new outlets, right, which you're exploring.
Yeah. My wife owns a company with her brother, Scott and Scott, and they have a compound. So they invited me, instead of having my spot where I was, I'm now with them together. And basically now we're a full package. They do like a bunch of stuff for a bunch of brands, and
like, who do they work with? Who are some, like, give me just so we have context, like what kind of people are they working with?
Well, they make, like, for example, they made the stuff for like Rihanna, for like for Kendrick Lamar,
like what, for their tour,
like the clothing and stuff, and they work with like an aerospace company, like they make merch. They
Okay.
work with like they work with a lot of people.
So SpaceX needs fucking 300
I don't know if
shirts.
it's SpaceX, but it's one of those.
But if they need 300 shirts for a launch or an event,
Right.
they're going to hit up, what's the name of the company?
Scott.
They're going to hit up Scott and Scott. And is there ever going to be a moment where they want input on creative design, or is it pure manufacturing?
Well, no, they've been doing it for a long time, and they do every level of it. Basically, they could do denim. They work. I don't want to mention one and not mention another one, and then some of them don't probably want to be mentioned. But they work with a lot of really big companies and a lot of celebrities or like whatever. And then I'm there, so I've helped. I do the repurpose and recyclable version of that. And we, when I get a business, I pass them on. They pass them on. So basically, we have a big compound now that we're working together. And what I wanted to say is that now we're opening to receive new up-and-coming designers and new up-and-coming brands that want to recycle. I have a full program that we're making, Reconstructors making a bunch of, taking brands that like for example, I just picked up a new brand that had a bunch of inventory and they didn't know how to deal with the vintage and they're over excess. So I'm making a little collection, and they're going to have a section in their website and in their store of repurpose and recycle stuff.
So this is interesting because you have this specialty. It's actually a two-part specialty of upcycling and vintage, right? Which are actually two distinct things which you have fused into one, and then throw like just straight up American culture, like just a taste and an idea and a curation of American culture. You do have a very, very specific, let's just call it brand that you basically own. It's Reconstruct, right? And so what I'm hearing is like you're able to take on larger projects, but you're still the creative force behind them. Like there's still the creative mind that they require to like bring all this together.
Well, I'm more like the producer. Like what we're taking is the clients that are saying, look, we have an idea, we want to make this out of vintage, but we can't figure it out because it's harder to make something out of something vintage or dead stock fabrics than from brand new. Like if you have a roll, you can make easily a bunch of shit. But if you have to adapt, we have a lot of experience. So we're opening the service to offering it to other brands. And then if the other brands actually want just regular stuff, we have the service that my wife and her brother do. And so it became like a full package thing. We could sample, we could manufacture, and if it's a bigger order, now we have relationships in Mexico that we can make it. And if it's a bigger order, we have relationships in China that can make it. We're kind of expanding. It's exciting.
With that being said, and mentioning vintage, where are we culturally with the word vintage? Because like, I'm so immersed in vintage from technology to clothing that to me it's like it already feels like, it's just been there and it's part of the cultural lexicon. But it seems like just now brands are catching up. Just now the mainstream culture is catching up to vintage, and it seems like it's the very beginning for mainstream, which is funny because underground it's been vintage for
Especially
a long
in
time,
LA,
right?
you know?
Especially in LA. Do you get a sense that it's not just a passing trend, but it's like really being incorporated into the culture at large, just this idea of vintage?
That's why we created a brand that was made out of recycling things. I think that the repurposing thing is going to be like the streetwear, like the next one, where like a group of people want to recycle and use vintage, not the really good vintage stuff that you don't want to touch, and things that are like, you know, you're not going to rip up a incredible vintage piece that fits perfectly or that has great patina or whatever. But the leftovers you can use to recycle, you know? And I think it's just the beginning. So I feel like there's going to be a wave of a bunch of actual brands becoming that. That's why we're like, you know what? It was so hard to figure it out. We're willing to help people out so we can be like their producers. Kind of like having like a band and then just guide them, make sure they don't make mistakes, make sure that the shit's not going to stain, the shit's not going to fit right. We're going to get their idea and actually execute it for them to make sure that that final customer is happy, you know? Because we made all the mistakes already. You know, when you go see up and coming brand new vintage repurposed brands, they're twist, they don't know how to wash it. Like there's a lot of mistakes you can make. Some of them are okay, but a lot of, I mean, we took 15 years for us to understand how it works. So we think stores and brands could have programs of recycle things, and we're just now feel like people can actually contact us and we can help them with the service. There's so many, like, dude, even in Mexico, there's so many vintage stores. Like, when I was a kid, I used to go to the flea markets because I love that stuff since I was a kid. But socially, the higher society people would never wear anything used. It was kind of like, what? You wear something that's used? And now you see all these kids that are wearing like, you know, that are like, you know, socialites.
Yeah.
And they think they're cool by wearing something vintage, you know? So
Right.
it's funny, like internationally now, it's accepted to wear something used, where before it was just rock stars or LA and New Yorkers, you know?
Why do you think vintage is so you know, there's such a parallel between vintage and Los Angeles around the world, right? Around the world, people know vintage equals LA, right? And it's not like LA owns the idea of vintage, but like I did a bunch of like video stuff for an Australian rapper once, right? That's like when I first moved here, 2019. And he was like, yeah, mate, he's like, what I want to do is I want to shoot me going up and down Melrose buying shit. And I was like, why are we going to go to Melrose, bro? It's played out. In 2019, I felt like it was played out to shoot here, I mean, you know? He's like, bro, he's like, that's the dream of every fucking Australian streetwear aficionado, is to fly to LA and go in every shop and buy as much shit as possible. And I remember being like, wow, dude, I mean, that's crazy. Because I hear that, like, for instance, like Sydney and Melbourne have their own little vintage scenes, but apparently it's nothing compared to LA.
But it's like if we go to London, I'm going to go to Camden Town even if people tell me it's whack.
You're right.
I'm going to go. If I go to New York, I'll probably go to Broadway.
Yeah.
Like,
good point.
I'll go.
Why? But why do you think it's so synonymous? Like, how has LA become this crossroads of vintage Mecca? Like, what is it? Is it something as easy as like, well, all the dead stocks here? Like, is it something as easy as that? Or?
Well, LA has such a manpower in manufacturing. So even the water washes, like when you've overdye something in LA, the machinery, like it's equipped to be able to handle a garment. And then the weather also weathers the clothing in a certain way. And because it's so many deserts around LA, there's a lot of cheaper warehouses to store, separate, and do all that. Same in Texas. I mean, you're asking me, I'm telling you, like,
yeah.
There's so many reasons why the stuff is here. And luckily, the look of LA, it's so much informal as far as like what you wear. So everybody's in love with the culture of rock and roll, with sports and everything. So, you know, You're in your car most of the time, so everything is more informal.
Okay.
And I mean, for it to be vintage, it has to be kind of like 25 years kind of rule. But when you think about it, like, dude, 25 years is like shit from the 2001,
Yeah.
which is like it's not that old.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what's going to happen with like around 2000, after 2010, things started being made all in China, and shit was kind of not the best quality, and there's a lot of fast fashion. So I feel like the real vintage is going to completely increase their prices even more, because between people like me who are destroying and recycling, and people, you know, I just think that all this, there's going to be another, like right now, a lot of the really expensive vintage is lower priced. I think that by summer, prices are going to go back up. Yeah.
So this is kind of why, like, because we've circled around this topic a couple times in previous episodes. Every time I'm always like, oh, I got these like old Nintendo games, and what the fuck am I gonna do with them? And you're always like, bro, keep them. They're gonna keep going up in value. Now, the way I see it is because I've been involved with so many macro markets of like used shit. I'm like, it's just gonna
but
be
it goes up and down, you know?
Goes
like,
up and down. But your thesis ultimately for vintage stuff is up only. No, like your long-term vision for vintage stuff is it only increases with price.
100%. Now it's so difficult to find a Metallica shirt. It's so hard to find a Pokemon shirt. It's so hard to find, like, even the green camo from Vietnam, it was so common. Like, everybody was wearing it. It's so hard, you know? And it comes in waves. Like, if a celebrity wears something, it becomes like everybody wants it. But, like, all the hunting stuff, nobody wanted it. We used to destroy it on purpose because it was, and now, like, it seems like everybody just wants that, you know? So yeah, Carhartt, like it's only going to be, I mean, the Detroit jackets are selling for $4,000, the crazy colors, you know?
Which ones?
The Carhartt jackets.
The Carhartt, oh, and that's what I wanted to, all right, I'm glad you brought this up, because I'm in New York a couple months ago, and I need to like buy some new clothes, and they have a Carhartt store there, you know, and I was like, shit, I was like, I never ever thought about Carhartt, ever. It was the shit my dad used to wear, my uncle was in construction, like it just never was synonymous with fashion. Now I've been seeing the little alcoves in Bushwick. I see the people who are 21, 22, 23 rocking this look. I still can't get behind it because I'm stuck in BMX 2005, where you have slim pants and a oversized t-shirt. That's kind of, I'm just stuck in that era forever, right? But, you know, I started being like, yo, there's a real appeal to the cut. There's a real appeal to the fabric. And it's like more and more and more, I just see younger kids walking around looking like my uncle who was a painter and a construction worker in the 90s, you know?
Well, it's comfort, you know, like the way that it breaks down, it's really cool. And dude, all this, it's like military stuff, all the workwear, it's basically stuff to survive your job, you know? I remember we used to sell so many of them so cheap. Even like Beckham's kid came one day and bought a jacket, and he went viral. He was wearing a fucking jacket, and we were like,
wow, that's
crazy, because this kid, I mean, he could buy anything. He gets free clothes from everything. He comes here and buys out of anything a Carhartt jacket, you know?
Wow.
And he gets photographed, and all of a sudden, all these kids, like, it's crazy the power they have.
Well, that's another great point is that it seems like, and I think this is positive, and I hope it spirals into other parts of our society. Money does not exactly mean relevance anymore. I think it used to be. I think it was like, you need to make sure you're getting the newest, like if we're going to go back to early 2000s, the newest Nextel, the newest Jordans to be relevant. Everything's new. That's relevance. It's like, you just mentioned this guy bought a Carhartt jacket, what, from the 90s maybe? Like, and it was probably beat up, and it's like,
it stank.
And
we wash it, you know, but if he only knew where it's been, because the wear that, you know, you could tell it was a real worker, you know,
yes,
like the way it was broken down, I'm like, fuck, dude, like, but thank God we clean it, but like,
of course.
You know what's really cool that happens a lot? Like a lot of celebrities, when they start coming, they come to Melrose and stuff, right? And all of a sudden, all the brands start sending box. Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Prada, like all these dudes start balling out and start wearing all this fucking clothes that they start buying, or their PR starts hitting them up. And once they make it, like, I don't want to name any names, but once they make it, all of a sudden they start buying vintage, and they start finding their own style, and they don't look, and they're not proud of wearing a fucking Prada thing with the Prada. Like, basically, Prada stole the idea of a fucking jean shirt or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they realize that the look is not, or their character is not necessarily that high-end brand, you know?
Yeah.
They still wear the accessories and all that stuff, but they can afford anything. I mean, they have fucking $250,000 cars,
Yeah.
houses, you know?
Yeah.
But they go on stage wearing a fucking t-shirt from a country singer. Like, you know, like they start finding their own style and learning about the value of things, and they're not wearing that fancy ass shit from a runway, from a stylist that's throwing it, you know. They find their, so that seems cool, and I think that's why vintage is becoming such a thing, because it's more about like micro, like, communities, and smaller brands are like, they're kind of like storytelling.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, and I think there's more of an expressiveness with vintage. It's like, I always think of like Space Jam, or like the Space Jam shirts are amazing. You know what I'm talking about? The all over. It's like, you know, like that's hitting so many marks right there. Like, I like basketball. I love this movie. Like, I love these colors. Like, with vintage, you can hit so many marks about who you are as a person. Whereas I think that, like, having come up myself personally, really coming of age in those 2000s, it's like the big brands, right? And I'm not talking like underground streetwear, but I mean like suburbs, going in the mall. We're talking Billabong. We're talking like the Pacific Sun shit. Abercrombie was like big in the suburbs, and like that
Dude,
meant,
right now they're so big. All the surf brands, and Abercrombie is like the hottest shit. Like, the
because
hottest shit right
they
now
changed their
is
cut.
the surf.
Because they changed their cuts, though.
But right now the 80s is coming back, and everything is fucking surf, and like it's crazy. Like, and the cool kids are like, look, hey, you got any surf shit? And I'm like, no, I'm
Really?
keeping it all. Yeah, like
Really?
all the shit that we hated about all the surf shit is the hottest shit right now. Like OP, Billabong, Quicksilver, and all the brands are designing that, you know? But yeah, it's funny, Abercrombie's like fucking hot again.
It's crazy. So my buddy was like, yeah.
Not to me.
I know.
But,
A
like,
buddy of mine
kids
was
are
like,
buying.
yo, I just bought a Abercrombie sweatshirt. He's like, go check out the website. Go on the website. I'm like, yo, they really changed their cut. They
I know what
changed
they
everything.
did. They took all the vintage references. Like, they have a Carhartt jacket. They have a fucking a hoodie with a nice watch. Like, whoever's looking at it is actually taking the inspiration from things that sell and that are like really powerful pieces from vintage. They're being smart, and a lot of brands are doing it. But whoever is doing it is doing a good job. It's not my, you know, but
Well, it's kind of crazy,
I saw
though.
it. My friend called me. He was like, "Bro,
About
have you seen
Abercrombie?
this shit?" Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, "Holy fuck!"
Yeah, it kind of shows you something, though, dude. It's like,
Watch, I'm gonna get hate from saying that, but you gotta give the respect to it, you know. Like, obviously, Stussy looks great, but like this shit, for being Abercrombie and what we know, like they actually are killing it.
oh, and the Stussy stuff really looks cool recently, by the way, too. I'm not gonna lie. But do you remember Structure, the brand Structure?
Of course.
Are they still around?
No, I don't
See,
think so.
they were the hottest shit in the 90s. Structure, dude.
Yeah, I remember.
That was the hottest shit. I'm surprised they don't come back. But the Abercrombie thing is interesting to me because, remember, they got canceled hard. Like,
remember.
they were canceled before canceling was a thing, dude, you know?
Well, they had dudes with no shirt, and like it was crazy.
Well, and they also were cherry picking blonde-haired people and shit. Like, it was all, it all came out. But it's interesting to me that even a brand that got so hated, so canceled, they had a documentary made about them, right? And like, and all this shit. They can just come on back, bro. And it kind of shows you that, like, the American culture, maybe it's just culture in general, like commercial culture, like, make your mark, you ride off of that mark for a little bit, and then you just.
I mean, look at fucking Kanye, bro. He's got excused and he got forgiven 20 times.
Great point, because he constantly finds ways to remain relevant. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it's cringy as hell, but it's almost
But
like
they're still talking. It's like your president, like.
your
he-
president.
like he fucking says the craziest shit that everybody's watching. Okay,
I know.
we'll stop talking about Kanye and the president. But like, you know, there's the talent to it.
Yes.
You got to give it, like, you're like, fuck, you guys are fucking, whoever's doing their marketing or like whoever's telling them, okay, or the Kardashians, bro. I don't watch that. And it's in my phone every time. Oh, they say they don't have surgeries. And I'm like, who the fuck
Who
cares?
cares?
Like,
Yeah.
bro, how am I watching this? Like, these people are geniuses. Like,
It's about consuming your mental space as much as possible with slight changes every single time.
with
That's
fucking
all.
impact. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just, you got to be super talented to be able to keep that up for so many years.
Yeah.
Like, respect.
Well, bringing this whole conversation like from people to places, I've been thinking about LA a lot. Every time we have this podcast, we talk about the state of LA, right? And I think, my buddy was texting me a couple days ago. Do you know Nevessa? It's on Hollywood Boulevard. They got a spot down like Olympic as well. And bro, it's this store 4 times the size of this store, loaded with DVDs, VHS,
I've seen videos
magazines,
of it.
bro. And like
I wanna go.
my buddy's texting me, and he's like, "Yo, it's fire here, but they're taxing us." I'm like, "Yeah, it's for tourists on Hollywood Boulevard." And I was like, "Yo, but
It's on Hollywood Boulevard?
it's on Hollywood Boulevard.
I wanna go.
Right by Cahuenga." And I was like, "Yo," I mean, talking about relevance again. I was like, "Yo, that little niche of Hollywood Boulevard could become something." And he responds, he's like, "Bro, you can't get cool people to come here." I'm like, "Bro, you're cool. You're there right now. You're there right now, and you're texting me, and you're cool, Like, so I think that, like, this
I
is
think
like
it's cool to be in a place like you got to be the underdog.
you
know?
have to be the underdog. You have to be the place where
That's why I'm
everybody.
still fucking here because I feel like, it sucks. Like, it's getting harder and harder, or at least it's done. But we're like, dude, like, you're only gonna be doing shit when you're like,
Well, the
but
interesting
again, where do
thing-
I go? Where do we put a store?
Cahuenga Boulevard. I'm telling you, bro, that part of Hollywood is fire. My wife and I walk there all the time, every night, and there's all these little nooks and crannies that if you treat, remember it's LA, so you don't. The problem is that if you come from a European city or like Mexico City, any city that's condensed and you can walk, then
gotta
you
check it
treat LA differently. And if you come from, I spent like 10 years in New York. If you come from a city where you see your neighborhood as your place and you just walk the whole thing, as opposed to get in my car, go to this place, get in my car, go to that place, then you can
Right. You
connect
probably
things
get a
in
big
a
ass
neighborhood.
place with parking, and if you just like the shit, you go to it.
And you walk
And you
everywhere.
don't need to be in fucking Melrose seeing all this crazy shit.
Well, the interesting thing about Melrose, though, is that I'm beginning to realize that basically Melrose, Fairfax, and La Brea, they're just offshoots of this part of Hollywood. This part of Hollywood, which is east to us, they keep going, but only on these streets. Once you go there, and there, it's no longer Hollywood anymore. It's something completely
I almost
different.
opened the store in Pico. We
Wow.
were looking. And then I'm like, now that I'm here, I'm like, fuck. I'm glad because no one talks about Pico. Like, and there's cool shit there. There's local like coffee shops and stuff. I don't know. I think I love the retail experience. Our website is doing better, so we're kind of But I always like, even if I close my shop, I'm gonna.
But you're
end up-
so fiercely physical that I think that it's so hard to comprehend the idea of not having a shop. No, that's always been your thing. You're a shop owner.
Yeah.
Like that's a part of your identity.
I've had a store since I'm 15 years old.
Right.
In Mexico. So yeah, it's part of like instead of having an office, but I mean, I'm thinking about doing a showroom. I don't know.
What would happen? What's the difference in a showroom? You basically convert to being more of a designer at that point. If you have a showroom, you're only bringing in select guests, right? I can't just buzz on the street to come on inside to your
Well, you
showroom.
make an appointment and you come in and you see all the processes that we do, and we could do it to your brand and for you, or make a custom piece for you. We already do that,
Right.
but we kind of have the meetings here. We'll probably have them at the showroom at the factory. But I do like the idea of dressing kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me happy. But
Yes, and I think that if you're going to do that and you're going to be shop-based, then you're going to want to be a place with foot traffic, and that's why you're here. That's why you're right here. You need this
yeah,
foot
but
traffic.
bro, we got stories. You should see the stuff that happens here. Like it every day is like.
Every single day there's something
Amber
that goes down.
calls me like at least once a week, like, and she's like, dude, there's a dude with a machete. There's a guy naked. There's this, like every day. Like it's wild.
This is going to be
The
a
streets
whole
are
other
closed.
conversation. This never. When did this start happening in LA? When the naked guy with the machetes out on the street?
I mean, it always happens,
always
but it's just
happened. Okay.
Now it's just crazy. Like it's all the time, you know.
Why?
You know what? To be honest, it's gotten better, and there's new stores opening up, and I feel like by the time that the World Cup comes to LA, things are going to be better. We just got to see if we can make it through.
I see. But wait, what? All right, so when the World Cup, that's a whole other thing. My wife and I have been talking about just fucking going to Budapest for the summer when this fucking cup comes here, bro, because I
want to be here, go to the games.
You're
want
a
to get out
soccer
of here.
guy, so that makes sense,
I
right?
love it.
So, but what do you think the city is going to be like when the World Cup comes? What do you think is going to be like? I just think of the traffic and the insanity. Like, how do you imagine this transforms LA?
Well, I'm excited because I'm probably going to do a bunch of collaborations with a bunch of brands, and there's going to be a bunch of tourists buying product and vintage stuff. So I'm trying to be ready for that. That's the truth.
But I know people travel around the world for it. My buddy in New York, he went to. It was in South Africa, right?
Yeah.
Like
it's like Formula One. When Formula One happens, all these people come, and obviously there's always going to be people complaining, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good thing. It's a good sign that things like that are happening.
Wait, what year is it coming?
This year.
This year. So I keep thinking about the Olympics, is what I mean, because the
That's
fucking
after.
Olympics are coming,
Yeah.
and that's going to be insanity. I don't even understand how the hell we thought that was a good idea to have it here. It's already fucking insane here.
But dude, economically, every time the Olympics happens, everywhere in the world, it means problems because there's technology and everything, and there's a lot of business and there's a lot of riots. It's always bad right before. Look what happened in Mexico. Look what happened in.
When was the Olympics in Mexico?
I think it was.
Like in the 80s?
No, it was in the. It's happened twice.
It's happened twice.
I think it was. I think it was in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
But there was like the Tlatelolco thing with the students. It was horrible, you know. There was a lot of conflict, and look at like Munich, you know. Like,
Oh yeah.
Like
oh, dude, Atlanta, wasn't there? Wasn't there
sure
a bombing
there
in
was.
Atlanta or something
I'm
like
sure
that?
it
I
was.
remember. Yeah.
Anyhow,
No, it's a crazy mixed up world.
so we just have to be ready. Hopefully, we can be creative and make everyone happy, you know, or at least a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just hope that, you know, as LA gets, you know, these big things come here. I mean, it's funny because we were talking about Mexico City and we're talking about how globalization is changing Mexico City. Like, don't forget, just because we're in the center of globalization doesn't mean it can't be changed more. So I see things which I really like right now. Like, it's unusual for me to like the present moment. I'm always either stuck in the past or romanticizing a more dystopic version of the future, which is less sterile and less commercialized, you know. I actually find myself right now in Los Angeles pretty damn happy with the circumstances, because this year I've done a lot of traveling. I go up to San Francisco a lot. I go to New York a lot. I'm in Europe, like that's where my wife's from. And every time I come back to LA, I see like the skyscrapers, which we mentioned in the last episode, that are all tagged up. And I'm like, yeah, baby, only in LA is this going down.
You have your own bubble. You have your spots. Like when you travel, you come back to LA, you're like, bro, I'm in my own. Like you miss it and you value it more.
Yes, but it's bigger
better.
than that. It's bigger. I think you're right, but I think it's even bigger than the bubble, because I'm talking about like what is going down here that everybody can see from the art. Like, dude, have you been on the 101? There's this great art I've been seeing. I'm gonna have to take pictures of it. It's like a very distinct looking character, and it's like
you
usually
mean
purple.
The heart one?
I like the heart guy.
That shit is so cool.
I like the
What's
heart.
his name?
I forget, but he makes collectibles, bro. There's a website
so
and he makes
cool.
collectibles. So there's that guy, which I love, and there's another guy which is like a suit and tie blockhead, and it's all purple, really cool purple
I've
and
seen
blue
it.
colors, and he's everywhere now. He's hitting everywhere. And every time I smile, and I'm like, boom. I'm like, this is beautiful, and it's like, you know, LA is relentlessly about replacing its past, relentlessly, but this part of our culture just sticks, dude. It just sticks, and people miss it. I've told people about these skyscrapers, and they're like, "Oh, I haven't seen them." I'm like, "Bro, have you driven past DTLA? Yeah, every day, and you didn't see the 5 totally bombed out skyscrapers tagged up? No, it's crazy, bro." So I think that's the part of the beauty of LA too is like
Well,
this,
you got to know what you're looking for. I'm sure when people come from other places, people just oversee it. But it's like when we go somewhere else and we're like, holy shit, that's so cool.
Good point. Good point.
How crazy was it, like, with all this rain? At least we won't get fires this year, right? Hopefully.
Oh, Jesus, I hope not, dude. No, this was insane, bro. This was fucking insane this year. But, you know, ultimately it's better for LA to have a little rain. But I again, like, the more I travel, the more I love it here. The more I
mean, look, I love LA. Like, it's home to me. Like, as much as we complain, I think, like, and I feel like I'm excited about this year. I think there's a positive stuff happening, and it's cleaning up, or we're getting used to it.
And just like, again, just the art, man, just the art of LA. I just think it's given me so much appreciation for other art. Like, we were talking about the Albers on your wall and stuff. Like, I'm getting so much into, I think because LA is so insanely draw outside the fucking box for everything. I mean, look at your clothes, dude, you know, like, it's so outside of the box that if you're truly interested in art, you start looking at the things inside the box. And that's why, like, Victor Vasarely, how I mentioned, the French-Hungarian guy, like, I'm super into his art right now. Like, you know, on the other hand, though, I think that also helps you appreciate the new art coming out. So, like, do you feel like you sense that do you feel like all you just see is kind of you've been in the art game for a while. Do you feel like all you see are copies of what already existed before? Or are you being like, no, I'm seeing something new? Like, how do you...
I feel like I see a bunch of new guys, which, look, we all love all the classic street guys, but there's so many new guys. And obviously I'm not, you know, I'm supposed to go to the art fair tomorrow, and I'm excited to go see it. I think I'm excited. I'm excited about the new things that are happening. I'm excited that the street graffiti thing is still a thing. I'm excited about all the abstract. There's a bunch of, like, people that are getting referenced by old classic stuff. Like, I mean, at the end of the thing, LA is like an important place, and there's really talented people from all over the world, and there's so much energy, you know? There's so much. I'm happy because there's a lot of Latin influence being recognized right now, especially in LA, in the US. And it's becoming contagious, and I see a bunch of people that are being proud of being Latin, and it makes me happy because it wasn't like this.
Interesting.
Yeah. But, you know, at the same time, look at what's happening with all this with the raids and all this shit, you know? So it's fucking crazy, you know?
Well, it's interesting because we're at a point now where we're at an inflection point in American culture. This is what's interesting about American culture. It absorbs every other culture that comes here, sometimes in a small way, sometimes in a big way. Think about Italian culture. Believe it or not, not a lot of Italians came here, like, compared to Mexican, right? Like the percentage of Italians that came in their big droves was not actually that much, but it had a huge impact on the fucking culture. Huge, right?
New York,
right? New York, that whole I-95 from Baltimore to Boston, basically, you know? And we're at an inflection point where it's somewhat different because the amount of Latinos here, I think it's 1 out of 5, which is a large number. Where American culture is totally absorbing that culture, and not just absorbing it, but it's actually being influenced in a different way than previous, like, European influences, you know? So I think...
I mean, Bad Bunny's doing the Super Bowl. That's crazy.
That's insane. It's insane. It's insane.
But for example, I have friends that have 5th generation Mexican people, and that they're being harassed, so they're worried about fucking going in the street. That shit is what happened, like, with Japanese in, like, World War II. Like, it's just crazy that in 2026 we're living this shit. I mean, I'm sure there's got to be a way of doing what they're doing without being so fucking...
Well, it's theatrics. It's theatrics. And theatrics, if we're going to go back, you were talking about Trump, you were talking about Kanye.
They picked up a bunch of people they were changing the carpet in the corner, and the guys didn't finish the job because the fucking ice kid showed up. Like, that's fucking crazy. We're in LA, you know?
Yeah.
And I get that they have to do what they have to do, but they're not to, like, the people that are actually working, rebuilding the city, you know, like,
Well, the difference of things are being broadcasted now.
I understand.
Right? And it's just like the Venezuela thing's very interesting.
Yeah, you look at Fox and you're like, oh my God, and then the other was like it's
But you don't
literally
even have
black
to-
and white.
you're
Like,
right.
There's no middle.
And the thing is that I believe that it's funny because CNN and Fox News are usually the barometer for how the binary view see it, right? It's like black,
But
white,
it's so
left,
to the
right.
left and to the
but,
right. It's
but
crazy.
you, with someone like Trump, let's not call him a politician or a leader. Let's just call him a brand, right? Like that guy's telling. Like we're in a part of our culture and a part of our time where we don't need the filter anymore because he's saying, yeah, we're getting the oil. Remember when we went into Iraq, it was a conspiracy theory to think, and it was an academic almost conspiracy theory, like we're going in there just for the oil, right? Now it's like, yeah, that's the first thing that's mentioned. That's the first thing that's mentioned is that we're going for the oil. So it's interesting because I think that the powers that be don't, if they can't control media, then they're just going to be the media, you know, and they're just going to be flat out open with you.
Look at it's like the Crusades, like it's always been, like it's like what Spain and France and they were doing. It's just happening in real time right now with social media. We're seeing it, and it's just fucking crazy.
Well, I think the one thing's for sure is that the American experiment of every culture living here underneath the sun, in my opinion, will continue to thrive. It's kind of like a Pandora's box. Once all the cultures live with each, like if we haven't already gotten into 5 or 6 civil wars yet, we're probably going to be okay, you know? And that first civil war was not necessarily a culture war. It was actually a commerce war, which we look back now and we say, no, it was a culture war. There was slavery involved in that question. But really at the time, that was a war of commerce. The War of Independence was a war of commerce, right? They didn't want to, like, these rich dudes didn't want to be taxed anymore. They wanted to lose their wealth. They organized all the poor American, then immigrants, whatever they were, colonists, to form armies, militias, and fight against the British. So we still haven't had necessarily the Civil War based upon culture, right? We have lots, and we have civil strife right now, but I don't see anybody picking up arms and fighting against each other based upon who they are. And
I feel like a lot of the battles are battled in social media.
Correct.
Like, for example, which is great, better than seeing people die. Like, I'm surprised there's not a fucking riot going on Melrose right now about what happened a couple of days ago, where like the first week of January. I'm wondering what's happening with Cuba. Like, yeah, Venezuela has the oil, but like, how many more years Cuba's gonna be sitting there? Like, the people in Cuba are fucking going through it. But that's another story, right?
Well, that's interesting because this country is becoming more Latino, we're becoming more privy to those things happening there. And when we do intervene, it becomes more personal, right? So I understand that we went into Ecuador in the 80s, and we went into all these different countries, Colombia, of course, in the 80s, right? But we didn't have a direct connection. I have no connection to Colombia, so whatever happens there, it's not really.
You would have a connection with Colombia, if you know what I mean.
One of my best friends is from Medellin, but because. Listen, if something happens back in fucking Italy and it gets insane and somebody starts massacring all the Italians, everybody on the East Coast is going to start going crazy,
yeah.
right? So because of all the Latino influence here, now this part of the world becomes so much more integral and important. And not just that, but everybody here has a bigger voice about what goes on, right?
Oh, and a lot of Latin people have really powerful positions now in America.
Yes.
That they have a voice.
Marco Rubio, I was talking, my wife was like, she's from Hungary, so she's like, who's this Marco Rubio guy? How did he get in this position? I'm like, think about it. Like, Secretary of State, Spanish speaking, Cuban. That's a chess move right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not on the Latin, like he's Cuban, so he's probably, he probably had to live through like some crazy shit that his people saw. He wants to liberate them, to be honest with you. But he's not Mexican. And he has a strong opinion against Mexicans because what he has fucking gone through.
Okay.
Like most Cubans are Republican because they want to be free, and most Mexicans are Democrats because they are free.
Right.
But look, that's not what we're here for. I'd rather, I have Cuban friends that, and I have friends that are from both sides. So I am not to the left or to the right. I have my own personal things, and I think both of them are extremist.
Well, that's what's beautiful about what you just said.
That's what's beautiful about LA, that you could have an opinion,
Yes, I agree. And
Supposedly.
I think LA breaks down the idea, you were just like, you just separated a couple of cultures, which I think is important because it means that everything below California is not a monolith. You know what I mean? And I think we've always seen basically the border of Mexico down to fucking Chile as a monolith, right? And in fact, when you get down there, culture, from what I understand, Paraguay is insanely different than fucking Colombia, Insanely different. Argentina from
Punta
fucking...
del Este, dude, there's so much money in culture. It's just that they're having so much fun, and they're like, shh, don't just, it's kind of quiet,
Do you find, going back to culture and clothes and stuff, have you seen any elements of that part of our hemisphere? Do you see it in the streets at all up here? Do you see any kind of influence culturally?
Of what?
Fucking whatever Brazilian culture is, whatever fucking Colombian culture is.
There is. When people come in, they bring their stuff, and they're proud of it, and they wear it. Look, when you see someone from a different place, being in retail for so long, you can kind of tell everything about them. It's a language. When the people are not from LA or where they're from. When they're from Ventura. Imagine when someone from Paraguay comes, they're fucking wearing some crazy shit that doesn't make any fucking sense, But,
All right, so now that we've broken down the entire
we went
world.
politics like crazy.
Well, it turns out that everybody has a stake in what's going on now, or at least we think we do, which is funny, right? I think social media has convinced us all that we have a part to play, whether or not it has any impact, right? And politics is a show, but apparently it's a show of participation as well, right? So whether or not it has an effect what we say, who knows? But at least it makes it seem like we can have a part,
Yeah, we're just speaking our minds, it's what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's going to change anything. But, yeah.
Well, getting out of the topic of politics, though, I did want to round out with, how does the brand's direction change now that you become more of a production outfit? What does that mean if people, you obviously already dress like rappers and stuff, and
we're helping stylists to come up with whatever.
And you also, but
now we want to connect with the brands. Instead of dressing people, we want to help out other brands or other subcultures or other, not necessarily clothing brands, like car companies, like marketing companies. We want to make product for them. Not only making merch, we're actually making pieces that could be used for marketing and or to sell,
So how are you guys changing physically to accommodate that? What's that look like on a physical level?
Well, basically we're taking, because we have a bigger space, we have more room to actually manufacture, design, and sample pieces for other people. Because now we have bigger capacities. And now we're not going to put all our energy in the store. We're basically going to reach out to brands that have stores so we can have products in there. It's kind of, the market's taken us there, So
what's an ideal, so you said you're reaching out. What's an ideal scenario? What's the ideal scenario for a brand contacting you and doing some sort of drop? How does that ideally play out?
It's incredible because, for example, we're doing a thing with Born and Raised. We're doing a collaboration. We're repurposing their pieces, and they're doing a drop. And that's just one out of other bunch of them, the one that comes in mind. But now it's so easy. Literally someone DMs us, and all of a sudden they're a company that has the craziest following. Or it's a kid that is from the middle of nowhere that is really cool, and he doesn't have access to manufacture. So now it's so much easier to connect. We just have to look at the end of the day, our messaging, like through a social media thing or through an email. And it's so easy to be contacted. When people want to reach out, you'll see it. It'll take a couple of days, but you'll be contacted, you know?
So, okay, are you saying this is probably the biggest thing for 2026 for you guys? Is this number one, or is this a part of a larger set of priorities? Like where does this, is this the forefront of what you're trying to accomplish this year? Is more of a production unit for brands, bringing your specialty of vintage, right? And vintage production, upcycling. Is that kind of the forefront of 2026?
It's good that you asked me, because I'm not only vintage or recycling. That's where my heart is, because I want to recycle and I want to make sure that we use the resources in the safest ways. But we make clothing for a bunch of street brands and a lot of brands and a lot of merch. So we want to just expand and also offer the recycling version to the clients, Like we want to tell them, look, you could be ecologically friendly and recycle a bunch of stuff, use repurposed clothing and dead stock fabrics, or you could recycle your old product, and we're offering you the service of making that happen, other than just making brand new stuff, which we can do. So yeah, that's one of them. And that we're also have a design studio. Like, for example, we're working with this car company that we're going to make all this collection for. We're going to make, basically we're like a full packaging company now. Like the market vintage and recycling has become such a big thing now that we're putting our hand out for whoever needs help. It's like if you're a band and you need like a production guy to help you find the right tune to be able to become marketable,
Yeah, and I love this direction with car companies, because it's funny, I always wear the Mustang sweatshirt that you guys gave me from the Vegas thing. It's my favorite, like by far my favorite sweatshirt. And it's funny because I always catch myself, or usually somebody else who'd be like, that's a Mustang shirt? I always forget you guys got the logo. And I'm like, people are always like, they put two and two together and they're like, what a fucking cool idea. Like, yeah, a car company comes out with cool clothing, And I think it's very fashionable to get like an old Ford shirt from the 80s. It's fashionable to get vintage stuff from older brands, right, and wear it. But to actually make the cool shit now for a brand which might not exactly be cool, I think is a unique opportunity. And I think it could be difficult as well.
Well, I think the brands are becoming smart, and they're like, look, we want to connect culturally with every way of their life. Like, we don't only want to sell them a car, we could sell them a whole thing. And especially, for example, with Mustang, such a history. Like, there's vintage cars. Like, there's a huge industry. And this is why, for example, a lot of smaller brands are always telling me, dude, I want to collaborate with this brand and Nikes and the corporate of the world. And I'm like, don't forget that they need you to be current. Like, you're the connector to their world. That's why they're giving you all this access and this marketing budget and all these things. They can basically make all the product. The problem is they have to sell it. So sometimes, when we get so excited to work with a company, but we got to understand that it's a relationship and they need to connect with the culture.
Yeah.
You know, and vice versa. We need the assets. We need the infrastructure. We want to make the presentation that look badass. Look how cool Mustang made my booth at ComplexCon.
It was incredible, yeah.
Bro, honestly, we can't afford to do that with
It's
Reconstruct.
crazy.
So, they made us look really cool, and I think it was a blessing, and it's great,
The last thing, I guess, because we're talking about cars, and I know you're a car guy, right? Okay, cool. They're going to make cool clothes and stuff. When are the cars universally going to get cooler, dude? Because, I realized recently there's a reason why I my wife's always like, oh, what's your favorite car? I'm like, I like all the classic cars. The only car I like right now is the Dodge Charger, And I looked at it, I'm like, oh, it's because they've gone out of their way to make sure the cut, if you will, of the car, the shape, resembles one of the older muscle cars of my memory, right? That Dodge Charger intentionally looks that way, you know? You know, is there a point where, and I think they've been trying to do it with electric cars, but if we're talking about style, we're talking about design, is there a point when the car companies catch up and they start really going out of their way to make more appealing looking cars, you know? Like the bodies, like it's so utilitarian, these cars, dude. Is there a point when they just start shaking it up and these things just start looking cooler, man?
I think they're trying. Like they're making, like for example, me personally, I'm really into the trucks again. And I like that the trucks are becoming 2 doors again, like the old school, like maybe because I'm Mexican, but like, I think that's cool, you know? And I think they're really trying, but it's also, the electric shit is like making things hard, you know? But the fact that, I mean, I've seen a lot of, you know, I mean, I like German cars.
The electric thing makes it interesting, though. It brings in the idea that car manufacturing can be modular. And I've seen that it's like, you can get kits. It's like, you got an old Corvette, get an electric kit. You can get electric kits now to preserve the body of your car. My question is, I almost wonder if car manufacturing in the future goes less from buy the whole thing and more from a modular setup, and you customize everything.
Look at like Bronco, like, normally you would be like, oh, it's, but now they have so many accessories. Like you could trick it out, make it like all kinds of shit. Like,
yeah,
that's exciting. And I mean, obviously G-Wagons and like MGs and all that. But I mean, I think there is, if you're passionate about it, there's a huge market. And I think that just like we're accessorizing our outfits and wearing all this shit, I think that especially in LA, there's a big way of personalizing cars and giving it character. I already know a bunch of shit that you can turn your car into other things. It's like a niche market though. It's like sneakers. I think the new sneakerhead is the rims, tires, and personalizing, because we're in the car so much. I really, 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 really believe that. But I guess we'll see, right?
Everything will be determined in the future.
Yep.
I guess that's it, right?
Yep. We don't want to get these people bored.
Your boss needs to get
the boss
running.
needs to open the shop, make some money.
All right.
All
Till
right,
next
brother.
time, right?
Yes, sir.
I think we've answered.
Hopefully you'll be here. If not, we'll do it out of the showroom.
What's that? Oh, yeah. We'll be operating out of the showroom, and hopefully we can drop the names of the brands you're working with, and hopefully
I just want to make sure they're cool.
Yeah, hopefully we don't piss off another 300,000 Mexicans, but we'll see.
And 200 Americans.
And All right, Brody.
All right, bro.
Cut.